Welcome back. My name is Jacob McDonald. I am Anything Lacrosse, and this is the game that never sits still. On today's episode, we're doing the Week 3 preview. Very exciting. 7 games on this week. Saturday is absolutely jam-packed. So 1 game Friday night, 5 games Saturday, and then 1 game Sunday. So exciting. We get to see a couple teams start their season this weekend, Rochester and Vegas. So that's very exciting. In Philadelphia as well, sorry. So we're going to see some new blood and some new teams going, and it is going to be an awesome week. I think this is every week, every team's playing this week, and the more lacrosse, the better. Also, right now, if you are, drop a comment. If you want to see anything in the show, topics, what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong. I take criticism well, I think. Just ask my wife. If you want to see anything specifically, let me know for real, because that's the only way that I can really tell what you guys want to see. So, with that being said, let's get right in. We'll be going over Week 3 preview. Like I mentioned, we will also be having an interview with Charlie Malcom, which is Will and Tony Malcolm's cousin. He was nice enough to jump on for an interview with me. He's been following me for a little while, following me for quite a while. He jumped in one of my lives one time, and we just he's followed me ever since. And it's nice. I wanted to have a young, talented top-end player on, and that's what he is. He's on the fast track to, play junior A more than likely and hopefully go off to that next level. So you'll get to see us talk all that in the interview, plus some NLL and all that stuff, so stay tuned for that. And then just finally, we're going to just wrap it up with talking a little bit about the NLL and the PLL and box versus field. Right, so other than that, let's get right into it, guys. First game of the week, Friday night, which is going to be a banger. So we're going to see Saskatchewan play Ottawa. Now, Saskatchewan 1-0. We've seen them play last week, and then Ottawa is coming off a bye week. The rest, hopefully that helped them. Hopefully that let them get going a little bit, find that chemistry. They started the season 0-1. They had 13 goals for, 16 goals against. Saskatchewan completely flipped, 16 goals for, 13 against. We've seen that second half collapse by Saskatchewan last weekend. Almost blew it, but they were able to do what veteran teams do and dig in and close it out. I think Saskatchewan, you're going to see come out a little bit more seriously this time. That's not great news for Ottawa, who really needs to win. San Diego was a tough start for them. San Diego has been on fire this preseason, and even coming into the season, they're looking very, very strong. A lot stronger than I gave them credit for. So they're proving me wrong, which, again, doesn't bother me. I love being proven wrong. But Ottawa is kind of, at the end of the day, I'm going to have to call Saskatchewan on this one. They're just super deep. They're on the road against a team that's rested, against Jeff Teat that's rested. Robert Hellier had a really big game the first week as well. Jeff Teat probably could have had some more. He got the most shots in that game, and didn't score that many. So you're going to see him, I think, have a better game this week. They need some depth scoring in there. Higgins needs to be better in the back end. He looked a little nervous coming out in week 1. So hopefully he's ready to be settled in now. He's got another nice home game to give this crowd a chance. Both these attendances for these teams weren't great. Week 1 wasn't great in Ottawa. Week 2 wasn't great in Saskatchewan by the looks of things. So hopefully we can see more Ottawa fans out there this second week. Fill that building, guys. If you want to keep that team there, which I think you guys do, you're going to need to get people in that building. And also, I know Montreal is an easy move away from there, and I know are on kind of the short list from what I understand to get a team. I'm not saying that's just they've had an unboxing game there. The event went well. They've got the arena there, and I think Montreal makes a lot of sense for a team. So it being right there, to me, this is all just speculation by me, but it wouldn't make much sense. So get out there and support Ottawa Black Bears. So that's my little rant on that. But, Saskatchewan is so deep, and that's what I think is going to be the issue here against any team that they go up against, is they're just hard to play against. Now, do they get a little complacent? Last week it looked like that, at least by the stats and everything I've seen. But they are, like I said, they're that veteran presence. You can't count them out at any point. So you have to go in there and get started on time if you're Ottawa. You cannot let a couple weekend goals in like what happened in the first game against San Diego. Saskatchewan is another high-scoring team. They have so many weapons on the offense that anybody can score from anywhere. Robert Church had 4 last week, and you could see him have a repeated performance. He's that good, right? He's proving me wrong already, because I was saying at the beginning of the season how I don't think he's a superstar. I think I've already been proven wrong at that. 4 goals is superstar material in my book. So, yeah. And not only that, but they have lots of guys who can score. They had a few guys who got hat tricks. They had, they've got from every different angle, every different way, from the inside, from the outside, they can score. And when you're playing a team like that, it's just really hard. Now on the Ottawa side, I'm big on Higgins. I said that. Now, yes, he had a little bit of a rough start, but I'm still big on him. I think he is one of the best goalies in the league. Jeff Teat, arguably one of the best players in the league, or the best player in the league. A lot of people were saying before the season started, right? So he's still amazing. Now, right, this is only one game each team, so it's going to be interesting to see, but starting the season off 0-2 isn't great, especially if you're Ottawa trying to really make that push, get into the playoffs this year. You got to kind of start adjusting. So we'll see what happens, but for this one, I'm going to have to take Saskatchewan on this one. Next, we have Colorado versus Philadelphia. Philadelphia's got their home opener. What is Philly going to look like? They've lost a lot, right? They lost the Snoo, lost him in a trade, at least. They got some return for him, but he's still gone. He also lost a massive piece of Mitch Jones this offseason. So, 100-point guy, Mitch Snoo, another amazing defenseman. What's this team going to look like? A Restardis is still there. Absolutely big, right? They've got Brandon O'Neill, which I thought had a really good preseason overall, and he looks really good. I think he's a sophomore this year, if I'm not mistaken, in this league. So he's young, he's hungry, he's ready to go. He's going to be a top guy for them this year. And their goaltending, we'll see how that works out, right? He's not bad. The goaltender is actually, from what I've seen in the preseason, he's pretty solid. I'm not going to lie. And that's what I find. Most teams do have pretty solid goalies at this point. Philadelphia, I do think they're going to have a bit of a rough season. They've got an ownership issue, obviously, still going on, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully their fans get out there to show the people, to show the team or a potential buyer that they want to stay, right? But we'll see what happens. A winning season would definitely help that. It's them trying to be competitive, be good, would also probably help them. But Philadelphia, same thing, is like, get out and show your support, because this team is on the verge of being relocated. So now Colorado has uberly impressed me in the preseason. Before the preseason, didn't think they were going to make the playoffs. After preseason, thought, they're going to make the playoffs. Now, after they beat Vancouver in the first week, if they can go up 2-0 to start the season, that's pretty impressive. I don't think there was too many people out there that actually thought this was going to happen. Now, Will Malcom getting 6 definitely helped that, right? The goaltending in Dylan Ward absolutely helped that. Like, they're killer. They've got killer pieces over there. Andrew Hugh, another absolute massive piece that he had a decent game, but he didn't play like I think he can. I still think there's a lot more in the tank there for him. They've got they've got some really big pieces. They've got a great defensive core. They smother teams. I think they're the best pure defensive team in the league, honestly, from what I've seen. Right? Yeah, I do think that. Actually, you know what? I'm going to stick with that. Halifax is pretty close. Saskatchewan's right up there as well. But Colorado, man, the way they shut teams down is super impressive. It really is. If they, like I've been saying the whole time, if they could just get one more really good offensive piece, I think that could push them into like the promised land. Like, I think that would definitely put them in that top tier. Now, with that being said, the way they are now, if they continue to play, and this is going to be this is an important game for them. They beat Vancouver. That was huge. Nobody expected them to do that, really. But now they have to go in and beat Philly at home. With Philly's rested, obviously they've had 3 weeks. Colorado's had a week of rest as well now. But Philadelphia, is playing for a lot. Colorado is playing for a lot. So this is what I'm talking about when I say every game is so meaningful, because there's only 18 of them a season that you get. You really got to go make them count. And this is one of those games for Colorado that this is probably like a checked box that they're going to win. Not to jinx them or anything, knock on wood, right? But they need to perform. They need to go do it. I do think they're gonna beat Philadelphia. I think that they are clearly the better team. I think that, the goaltending, they're better. Defensively, they're better. And I think offensively, they're better. Joey Rez, as long as you can contain him, which their defense, I don't think is going to have an issue containing him, and Brandon O'Neill, right? And I think there might be one more guy really on there. But we're going to see what happens here. And it's going to be an exciting game. But I think this is a clear win for Colorado here. And if they don't win, I think it's a ball dropped, unfortunately. But like I always say in this sport, which is why I love it so much, is you never know what's going to happen. any team can be any team on any given night. So when that stuff kind of happens, or when that can happen, it's like you don't know what's going to happen. So, and there's always seems to be upsets. Like every week you go into it, you think something's going to happen, and there's usually something doesn't go as planned. So will Philadelphia be that game? Realistically, who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Next, we got Calgary versus Toronto in Toronto. This is an interesting one. Calgary came out swinging last week. What a comeback, right? They almost solidified it. Saskatchewan really closed it out there at the end. But Calgary had 13 goals for, 16 goals against. They had 8 goals in the second half. It was just in quite a short time span, realistically. And then Toronto had 7 goals for, 8 goals against. They almost won that game against Oshawa. To be honest with you, if that first goal of the game would have went in by Kirst to give him that hat trick where his toe was just over, I think Toronto probably would have won that game going into overtime and stuff. This is an important game for them to pull off if they want to be considered a playoff team as well, because Toronto tends to, from what I've seen last season, they dig themselves a hole and then they just can't get out of it. So it's only one loss. I think Toronto's going to take this one. They've got young and veteran presence. They've got kind of best of both worlds. They've got a goaltender that's going to give you an 80 save percentage most nights. They've got a pretty solid defensive core. They've got Latrell Harris, who I think could be the defensive player of the year. They've got 2 absolute young studs, 3 realistically, 3 young studs that are just really reshaping that team. And Mark Matthews didn't really get going last week, I found. And I think that they know the pressure's on and they're at home. This is their home opener, and I just don't see them losing this one. Now, Calgary has more scorers than I would have thought they did right off the bat, right? They got Maya, they got Hayden Dixon, they've got Manning. He's another really good stud. They got Tyler Pace. On the back end, they got Aiden Walsh. Aiden Walsh looked nervous last week when he stepped in, to be honest with you. That's what I found. He let, I think, 2 for 3 or 2 for 2 in right away. It was like 2 really quick goals. And once he kind of got settled in, he looked a lot better, but he definitely needs to play better than he did last week. With that being said, I think a lot of it was nerves. He's a starter. He's the guy now in Calgary. Really, like I said, a lot of people think they're going to finish lower. I mean, they proved last week to me anyway that they're probably a better offensive team than I was giving them credit for. See, I personally think Saskatchewan is, quote unquote, in my opinion, somewhat of the favorite to win this year. If you're looking at team, I think they have the best overall team top there in that top tier. But Saskatchewan, in my opinion, is like, quote unquote, I think they're the favorite because they went to the championship with the same team essentially as they have walking into the season. And they're just a veteran team. They know how to win, all that kind of stuff. So, when they go back to the finals this year, I'm not going to be surprised about it. So Calgary, by that coming back from Saskatchewan and they being down by so much and coming back and really tying the game and, giving themselves a chance to win, that was absolutely impressive. Like, you can't, that showed heart. That showed everything. That showed a lot from Calgary. So that's why, Toronto, as much as they're probably kind of licking their chops a little bit, they better, again, you need to start on time. That's the best thing. If you're looking at all these losses, not Toronto so much. I will say Toronto, it was just kind of like, it was a close game between Oshawa and Toronto, which I can understand because I kind of put them on the same tier level, right? In that bubble spot where they're probably just going to miss or just make the playoffs. One of those teams, one of those two things. But, Toronto is good, and they're really a win-win here because they have Calgary's first round pick this year. So Calgary does well. It actually gives them more motivation, to be honest with you, because they want Calgary to do bad so they can get a higher draft pick. Isn't that ironic? But no, Calgary though, I think, like I said, I think people are underestimating them, including myself, and I think that we're going to see them do a lot better than even I was saying. So we'll see what happens though. But it's hard when I look at the roster. I just find them to be just when you line them up, put them side by side. This league's so even, but I will say they're closer to the bottom than the top. Let's just put it that way. So definitely Toronto needs to win more than, well, I don't want to say they need it more than Calgary, but they definitely need it. And if they go down 0-2, it's going to be interesting to see because that team has a lot of promise with all those young guys. I don't think it'd be the worst thing in the world for Toronto to get another high pick, especially for this draft, especially with Calgary's as well. So we'll see what happens, but I'm going to take Toronto on that one. But that one could be one of those games that goes the other way. Kind of isn't a quote unquote upset because I do think Toronto should be the favorites in that one, in my opinion. All right, so next we got Halifax versus Buffalo, and I think I would have to put this as a game of the week. Yeah, Saturday night at 7 o'clock. I went to see Halifax in person. I got the pleasure of doing that last week, and man, they look strong. Buffalo, I watched them the first week, and they looked good. If I had to choose, I would say Halifax looks stronger, in my opinion. I think Halifax, the way Tyson Bell really coordinates the defense out there, really takes like that leadership role, it looked like to me when I was watching him. Also, the way Halifax plays defense, they really contain the chances. Like, as much as Warren Hill had an amazing game, like I talked about, Halifax really did play really good defense as well to help Warren out. Can Warren play that good again? That's another question mark, right? Obviously, that's kind of one of those games that is like, that's a historic game. So to expect that level is a little bit ridiculous. But can he still be at that 80%, hopefully? And I think he can, especially after he looks good, man. Warren Hill looks good last week. And he wasn't playing a slouch team. Like, I know it looked bad, but I can tell you right now, Oshawa's not as bad as that looked. So, like, they had 11 goals for and 2 goals against. That's insane. Like, if they can keep it at about 8, they're going to win every game this year because they're just that good offensively too. Halifax offensively, everybody likes to talk about, like, the goaltending, the back end issues, but they're actually best. Like, the way they played last week was amazing on the back end, but their real strength is in their offense. Their offense, they have so many guys who can score. You got Clark Patterson, you got Randy Stotts, you got Cody Jamieson, Tyson Bell back in the back end. You got Dawson Theed, which I was absolutely immensely impressed with. Jake Withers to pick up all the loose balls. You got, Brandon Bomberry is a great transition guy. He got one last week. Graham Hosak's another huge guy back there. You've got a lot of guys who can score and put the ball in the net. And that's the thing. It's scary to go up against that, guys. They've just got so many options, just like Saskatchewan. They're a team that I think is that, and that's what I think is going to be the difference maker in this game. The fact that they have all these different options, where I find Buffalo is really leaning hard on Byrne and Dane Smith to really carry a big chunk of that load. Look at Dane. He hasn't really been a massive goal scorer the last few years. He got 4 goals last game 1, 4 goals, 4 assists. Now, can he do that every game? Honestly, probably. That wouldn't surprise me. He's an elite talent, Dane Smith. With that being said, should he have to? Nick Wise is another one. Ryan Benish, Mitch DeSnew is a massive pickup for them. That was huge too. Ian McKay and put the ball in the net. To me, though, is that better than Halifax's team? I don't personally think so. I think Halifax is a better team overall, but this is a game that can go either way. And you also have Matt Vince in the net for Buffalo, which at the end of the day, I would say on a normal season, like, you're going to take Matt Vince every time over Warren Hill. Now, if he can put a performance up like last week, then obviously not. But more than likely, he's not going to have that same level of performance, and you can't expect him to, and nor should he have to. But Halifax did enough anyway. 11 goals is good. That's a solid, especially if you look at the scoring overall these last 2 weeks already. It's been somewhat pretty lower on the low end of things right now. So I think that's teams just learning how to mesh and stuff like that. So we'll see as time goes on here. Honestly, Buffalo at home is very hard to beat. I will say that. Their fans are loud. It's going to be a slugfest. This is, honestly, like I said, this is the game of the week. If you're going to pick one game to watch this week, I would say choose this one. And I'm going to have to take Halifax. Like I said, I personally think Halifax is going to be really hard to beat this season. And I think that it's their year. I just think that it's their year. I think that it's Saskatchewan and Halifax final this year, and it's going to be heartbreaking to whatever team loses that one. So that's my prediction there. Hot take, whatever you want to call it. That's definitely a both. Like, you cannot count Buffalo out, and you can't underestimate them. I just think Halifax is going to be ready, and it's always a good game between Buffalo and Halifax too, because they got that little rivalry going on as well. I think a little bit, because a lot of the Six Nation players used to go there, and Halifax, obviously, with Stiers, the owner of Halifax, he's also trying to kind of grab from the same pool of players, which is the best in the world, I think, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens, but it's an interesting dynamic, that's for sure. Oshawa, in 2 games, they have 10 goals for, two goals last week, obviously. So, and then 18 goals against. The goal differential is -8, and then Georgia has 11 goals for and 15 goals against. They played Buffalo week 1, so again, another hard start for them. These are both teams that need wins. Who am I taking? I mean, Can I take Brett Dobson to go to penalty box? No, I'm just kidding. But Brett Dobson is definitely going to be passionate about this one, like he always is. He's a funny character, that guy. And Oshawa has, I think Oshawa, they can't not be better this week. They just, I mean, offensively even. I was at the game. They missed the net a lot last week, and I think they're going to change up their strategy a little bit. Maybe try to get on the inside a little bit more. Alex Simmons, he had, I think, one or two that got called back at least one for sure. He had the most shots, I think, in the whole game, and I think he was just kind of one of those nights for him. I think it might have been his worst night of his career, and maybe his worst night ever, to be honest with you. So, and I still think he put up 2 goals or something. So I think he put up both goals for the Firewolves, if I'm not mistaken. I just think this team's going to be better. Jameson still played half decent last week. Not as good as his first performance, but definitely not bad. You had Georgia during their game. Again, they were closer to Buffalo than people gave them credit for. I personally think Georgia's going to miss the playoffs this year. I've been saying that for a little bit. It's not that anything personal. I just think that when you look at their roster, comparing it to other rosters, this league's so tight that anybody can beat anybody. Lined up side by side, I don't think Georgia's roster is as good, but you guys tell me what you think. Here's Georgia's roster, okay? You got Shane Jackson putting up 4 goals. You got Caleb Benefit putting up 2 goals, 5 points. Shane Jackson with 6. You've got Michael Grace with 4 points, 4 assists. You've got Brian Cole with a goal and 2 assists. You got Carter Page with 2 assists. You got Ben Trumbull with a goal and an assist. His first game, amazing. But what a pickup for them, where they got him in the draft. I thought that he was going to be picked up maybe sooner. Nolan Byrne, another one that's a nice sneaky little pick. That's a nice thing, but do you notice something? They're trending younger. That's just what I look at it like. And Lyle Thompson held to a point. That's another big thing that I don't think is going to happen this week. Lyle Thompson being held to a point is crazy. Don't know. Again, the goalie situation that happened where he got put in the box, Brett Dobson got put in the box. I think that's a little bit of a rough thing to do too. How do you, that could have changed the whole game realistically. I know technically it doesn't really look like it, but shout out to Kai, the goalie, for pointing this out to me. And this is why, again, I'm just a dummy fan. And sometimes it's nice to hear players' perspectives, because he's like, yeah, I know it wasn't as close, but at the end of the day, it swung momentum. He had to go out, sit in the box for 5 minutes, come back in. He was off his game maybe a little bit, and I don't think that's fair, to be honest with you, especially when they got the ruling wrong. So, and there's nothing you can do, right? Really, what are you supposed to do to make that up? There's nothing you can do. So, with that being said, we'll see what happens with Georgia. Brett's always got something to prove. It's so funny. I like Brett a lot, but he's just so vocal. That's why I talk about him so much, because he's all over the internet. But Lyle, like I said, that just, there's no way you're going to tell me, Lyle's not going to do, you can't tell me Lyle's not going to have a better game than that one. Like, come on. And this is the thing. This is where it kind of gets into anything happen. And like, I would have never thought Lyle was going to only put up 1 point this last game. Like, that's insane. The Oshawa Firewolves, okay? You've got Alex Simmons, who put up 6 points this season so far, 2 goals, 4 assists for 6 points. You got Ty Kurtz, who put up 3 goals and 2 assists for 5 points. Dyson Williams, 1 goal, 3 assists in 2 games. That's not enough, Dyson. Sorry, buddy. You got to put up more than that. With only 18 games, I think he had 64 last year or something. I was expecting bigger out of him. Ethan Walker, 2 goals, 2 assists. Clark, a goal and 2 assists. Well, there's a lot of guys with 1 point. There's a lot of guys with no points on the board after two games. So, that's unacceptable. After 2 games in the NLL, you need to have a point. I understand, I'm just a fan, I just sit here, but I can tell you guys, if you want to win, let's just put it that way. If you want to win, you're going to need to put up more points. I think this is going to be quite the game. It's interesting because, you got both goalies, and I think Jameson's a better goalie overall myself, but you ask Georgia fans, you ask Brett, he's not. And that's the thing. Brett is the guy. And he is super solid, but I do think that he needs to raise those numbers up a little bit. I think he was a 76 save percentage last week. Now, again, a little bit of a hiccup there, so we got to give him some grace there. Like I always say, you need to be at the 78, 79 save percentage, I think, and even into that 80 to really give your team a really good chance. On the other hand, they also have to go score. Oshawa needs to go put the ball in the net, so Jameson doesn't have to do all the work and carry the whole load by himself, because he only let in 8 last game, and he still ended up losing, which that's not his fault. He played good overall. There were a couple goals last week that maybe he could have had, but overall, he played really, really, really good. So I'm going to take Oshawa on this one. just for those reasons, I think, Oshawa needs the win. They've played one more game than Georgia. It is important for Georgia to win too. I will say that if they do want to be considered a playoff team, which they could be. Don't get me wrong. They're kind of in that bubble area, but they need to go out and beat Oshawa this week. So I think there's going to be panic going on in whatever franchise or whatever team loses this week. You're going to see a little bit more panic going on. Georgia might have like a one more week to really get it together because they've only played 2. But if Oshawa goes in and doesn't have a good game this week, it's not looking good for them. People are going to really start talking. And I mean, at this point, I can't really blame people because again, like it's such a short season that you need to get everything under control and get going, right? But, Oshawa last year, though, they put themselves in position that they needed to win a lot of games in a row at the end. They did. I think they won 4 or 5 in a row and then ended up losing the last one back to back to San Diego to not make the playoffs. And, realistically, if they just could have played a little better in the first half of the season, they would have made the playoffs. And that's kind of, are we going to see a repeat of last year where they're going to start off really bad and then kind of get it together near the end of the season? I don't know, but Oshawa, I'm going to take Oshawa in this battle. But I'm excited to see what Lyle can do. I'm excited to see Brett Dobson play. Honestly, he's slowly as well, just because he's so chirpy. I love it. And I love Lyle. I think he's the best player in the world. I stand behind that still. But on the other side, I really like Alex Simmons. I really like Dyson William. I really like Ty Kurtz. I really like Dougie Jameson. I really like Oshawa in general. They were really pulling me last year, and I do still have a special place in my heart for them. I really do like them. So, I wish the best for both teams, and I can't wait to see some good lacrosse because that's actually a really good matchup, honestly. Like I wouldn't say, and because they both need wins, I think that's even better. You're going to see players rise to the occasion, essentially. So we've got next is the chaos game, guys. The chaos game that could be or the potential chaos game. You got Las Vegas versus Vancouver. This is going to be a banger, boy. This one. I know I said Halifax Buffalo's the game of the week, and it is. Don't get me wrong. It's gonna show, who's really the cream of the crop and who's not a little bit, especially if one team blows out the other. But this game is a close second. Like this one's on after that one, and we'll be streaming, boys, because I can tell you right now, this is going to be, like I said, an absolute banger. Vegas, I love the underdogs. I do. I have I have a weird thing with underdogs. Like when I watched Toronto versus Oshawa week 1, I legit just cheered for whatever team was down. So I like Toronto. I like Oshawa. I just cheered for whatever team was down. And that's the same thing I think with Las Vegas is their underdogs. Vancouver is like the big bad super team almost they've tried to put together. And it didn't work in week 1. They've had a bye week to try to get it together. I think a lot of them live in the area, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong, somebody. It's time, boys. You didn't have a good preseason. You didn't have a good week 1. And that's no discredit to the team that beat them by Colorado, because Colorado had an amazing game. But Vancouver, by the expectations that's been put on them by just the way, like everybody, the media, social media guys, the media, everybody has put pressure on this team. Whether they listen to that, this is the thing, guys. Like I always say, I'm just a fan. I'm just some guy behind a microphone. I don't know if they even care to even hear what I have to say or anybody what they have to say. A lot of these athletes tune it out and they just focus on what it is, right? They need to score more. I'll tell you that. They need to score more. We're going to go look at their stats in a minute. They need to do a better job defensively to help Christian out. Christian, actually, if you go look at his numbers, aren't bad. Especially considering, don't think it's on him. It's just the offense. The offense needs to learn how to gel. They need to learn how to share the ball a little bit, and they need to learn how to figure out how to get it going. So again, they had they ran into a wall with the name Mr. Ward. But that's the thing. In professional sports, you got to figure out how to beat them, or you're gonna have this question. So if Vegas if Vegas beats them, I think everyone's really expecting Vancouver to come and walk them. To be honest with you, I'm not really. To be honest, I think that Vegas is better than people give them credit for. I think the issue is the back end, like the goaltending especially. Kells is young though; he's ready to go. I think that he's had the summer to train. We'll see how he does coming in. They've got Khan there. We'll see again whether he plays or not. at all this season. He's only 18, but I think that with all the additions up front of Vegas and whether Jack Hanna comes back or not, that's still in question. I'm hoping, I'm going to cross my fingers and hope that he still does. But the longer this goes, this isn't looking good. Like we're almost at week 3 times here and you're not playing. And again, the Jack Hanna situation, though I'm going to touch on this real quick. I understand this is a different league than other professional sports. If this was an NHL, I would be calling this guy out so hard. Okay. I'd be like, this is unacceptable. This is ridiculous. Get to camp, get to playing, you're making a lot of money for doing this. These guys still need full-time jobs. And unfortunately, until we get to a point that these guys can play lacrosse full-time and they don't need to do anything else other than just focus on training, getting better at their craft and doing this full-time. This is a situation we're going to run into, just like Mitch DeSnoo, right? Now, whether he actually he just wanted to use that as an excuse. Mitch DeSnoo's situation's a little bit different, maybe. Jack Hanna, on the other hand, his whole business is in Colorado. He went to school in Colorado. I think he wants to play there by the rumors and everything. So, and I can't blame the guy. If he's making money there and he doesn't have to travel, why would you want to? You're living there, right? So, when it comes to that stuff, I can't blame these players. And I think that we do somewhat need to bend a little bit to these guys because of that. Because it'd be different if they were flying private too, right? At the end of the day, it'd be different if they were flying private and they could get away with this. But they got to fly, they have to fly commercial. And realistically, some of these guys just don't think it's worth it. Are we going to lose a player? Like, is it better for the league to have Jack Hanna sit, or is it better for the league to have Jack Hanna play, right? At the end of the day, which one's better? To me, it makes more sense to have Jack Hanna play, and I hope that a deal can get done, but we'll see what happens, right? And I understand it from both sides. I do understand it from the player side, which I just talked about, but I do understand it from the owner side because at the end of the day, if you start letting all these players dictate where they're going to go, it just isn't going to stop. And then you're going to have teams that just are unbalanced because nobody wants to go there. And then, you get teams that are just super stacked because they dictate where they want to play. So I hope we're moving in the right direction, but this is going to be an issue for the next few years to come. All right, back to my original point. We got Vegas versus Vancouver. Sorry, God, I went on a little tangent there, okay? So let's just go look up the stats for these guys quick. Vegas has added a lot of additions. They've got, like I said, they've got a team, and I think that people are very underestimating them. I think Chase Frazier has something to prove this year. Klutz is over there looking good. Like I said, man, it's just unfortunate Jack Hanna's not playing there, man. That's the one thing. But I mean, with him being on the same side as Frazier, it'd be hard anyway. Keegan Ball leading the pack, 7 points. I said that he's the best player on that team, even when they brought these additions in. Keegan Ball's special, and as you can see, he's unselfish with having 6 assists. So, and let's see, how many shots did this kid get on net? He had 8 shots on goal still, though. Yeah, still okay, maybe. So he had 8 shots on goal, so still pretty good. He's definitely getting the chances. So they got to bury them. But Keegan Ball, in my opinion, still is the best player on that team, and he's showing why. And then you've got Jesse King with a goal and 3 assists. I mean, again, not bad. Not a bad goal at all. Or not a bad night at all for him, personally. Curtis Dixon, 2 goals and assist. And you got Charlene Beatties with 2 goals and assist. Ryan Sharon with a goal and an assist. And then pretty much falls off after that. Yep, falls off right after that. So here's the thing, guys. There's your core 4, which is what I'm going to start calling these guys. Ball, King, Dixon, and Charlene Beatties. Core 4 for Vancouver. They have to perform. They all need, obviously, more than that. They all need 3 a game. They do. That's what they do. They all need 3 a game. That's 12 goals a game. And then hopefully somebody else can put one in. So Vancouver just overall needs to be better. They've got it looks like they're very top heavy, and they need to either get some more depth scoring in there, or they all have to put up 3 so they can if they can give themselves, if all those guys can get 3 goals a game, I know that's, somewhat of a decent thing to ask, but realistically, you got 3 of them that are 100-point guys. So in order to be a 100-point guy, you got to be putting up 2 goals a game at least, realistically. So, which some of them did. Don't get me wrong. Curtis Dixon put 2 up, and Charlene Beatties put 2 up. So you got the potential there, but there's still, okay, here we go. So yeah, so in that game, this is a hard one for me. I think I have to go with the obvious choice of Vancouver. And here's my thought process behind that. Even after everything I talked about, Vegas, I could be an upset. It could be one of those things that it's like Colorado. I think they're a lot better. than they people are giving them credit for. I've got them in the top 5 spot. I have them in that spot with losing this game, to be honest with you. So to me, I've already got them penciled in as a loss for this game. So if they win it, it's great. It's just like Colorado, right? Boom, you just moved even up higher on my list a little bit. Vegas think that they're very much like Rochester in as they're a glass cannon. Their goaltending is probably, it's a little unknown. Kells is still so young. I mean, there's definitely stats on him, obviously. He was like at a 76 save percentage last year or something. I think maybe 74. He might have been pretty low. I'd have to look. I think him and Getty were splitting the time last year, if I'm not mistaken. So he obviously needs to be better. What has he done in the offseason? How's he looking? The nice thing is they've got to see all these teams play already. So they get to kind of, go off that, see what they're actually looking like in season form, and they get that advantage. With that being said, I do not see Vancouver coming out like they did last time. I just can't see it. They're supposed to be the team. They're supposed to be the team this year based on everyone's predictions, including my own. So I can't see them not killing it this next game. I just can't. And so for that reason, I'm going to take Vancouver at home, and I just can't see them losing to Vegas at home. Vegas is going to have a good season. We're going to see. And to be honest with you, if they can just pepper Vancouver, they'll do well. But I do think Vancouver offensively is going to be too much for them to stop. You're not going up against a caliber of goalie like Dylan Ward. You're just not. You're not going up against, a defense like Colorado. And you kind of got a fire lit under your ass, and you got a kick in the ass that you needed. So Vancouver all day. And if it goes the other way, I think that'll be funny, and that's going to be chaotic. If it goes the other way, where Vegas beats Vancouver in Vancouver, and Vancouver starts the season 0-2 after they were supposed to be a favorite, you might see them fall out of the power rankings, right? And if that's the case, that's pretty terrifying. So, and I know, again, as much as I say, oh, every game's weighted, every game means so much, it's still so early that even if you lost 4 games in a row, you could still turn around and try to win it. You've dug yourself a hole that now you have to climb out of, which if you come out and start on time, and now instead of having four losses in a row, or 2 losses in a row, let's say, even at this point, you could have started 1-1 or 2-0. Like, that's a lot better of a start than, than starting, and it gives you that advantage. And with the league being so tight, and I think a lot of teams, maybe just missing the playoffs by 1 loss, that's why I say these wins are so weighted. I'm pretty excited to see that game as well. That's my number 2 game of the week for sure. And then the final game of the week, we get to see a team we haven't seen yet as well, in Rochester versus San Diego. San Diego's at home. San Diego has looked good. Overall, as much as I hated on them right away, San Diego, in my opinion, has looked at the best team overall. Like, just, they've come out really strong. In the preseason, they came out strong. In the regular season, they came out strong. Like their first game against Ottawa. They do a fantastic job. They look a lot differently offensively this year. I actually thought they were going to be worse, but they're a lot better. Smalls is having a big year so far. Obviously, big game. Sorry, I should say, really, right? It's only won 1 game. You've got Leclerc. You've got some guys over there. We're going to go over the stats in a minute, but I was wrong about San Diego. I'm pretty much ready to say that now. I seen that they were ranked. I'll go into that after we're done too. They were ranked the power rankings. They were in the top 8, which I think is the right move. And depending on if they can beat Rochester, this is an important game for both of them. So let's talk a little bit about both. So San Diego, like I said, they've got a irregularity back there. There was some uncertainty that he wasn't going to get to play, but he is playing this year, and I can tell you he looked fantastic as well. He had a really good game. You have like I said, you just have so many guys over in San Diego that are good. Wesley Berg, obviously another absolute just 50-goal guy. Could be the leading scorer in the league this year, maybe. Then you've got Rochester Nighthawks. Rochester Nighthawks are opening the season this season. Their opening game this season, not at home yet. They have a little bit of a new ownership group, and they've got a bit more passion. I just seen, I don't remember who it was, but it was someone in their management team. And that's the thing, the Seneca Nation, this isn't just a game to them. This is the way of life. This is their culture that they're demonstrating, and they get to demonstrate to the public. And I think it's amazing. If their celebration when they do get a home opener is anything like Halifax's, it's really, really cool experience if you've never got to see any native culture stuff. Because it's I've been lucky. I've kind of with my wife since I was we've been together 15 years, so I've seen lots of this stuff. But for anybody who hasn't, it's really cool. The drumming, the singing, all that stuff, the dancing, all that kind of stuff. And then the greatest game in the world. So, you can't really ask for more than that. This team's got pride. We're going to get to see some big boys in Rochester. We've got, Saris over there we've seen in the preseason. He looked okay. And so Zed Williams, though, is going to be exciting to watch. They've got a duo goaltending pair that seem to be okay. I think Hutch is getting it. I think he's getting the start, if I'm not mistaken. But overall, Rochester, if you remember from last year, Connor Fields, I heard he might be hurt, but that's just kind of something I heard through a grapevine. So we'll see what happens as it starts. They're got a little advantage while waiting till week 3 to start. I don't know if that's a great advantage because if you have to start with 2 bye weeks, now they only have 1 left for the rest of the season, unless they're playing back-to-back games and weekends and stuff, which again, I'm not a massive fan about, but it is a schedule we must live with right now. And Rochester I always called them the glass cannons last year because their offense was like a glass cannon. It was just so good offensively, but their defense needed help and their goaltending just wasn't, comparatively to the other teams, wasn't as good. I've seen those goaltenders play. By the eye test, they look really good. I'm not sitting here hating by any means. I'm just going off the numbers. They have quite the duo in Rochester that can put up points. They've got, easily 2 of the guys that might end up finishing 1 and 2 this season. It's when you've got guys who can put you up 130 points, even if your depth scoring isn't that great, you're okay. But that's not the case in Rochester. They have good depth scoring last season too, and I'll go into it in a minute just to give you an idea. So this is last year's, okay? Last year's stats, they had Connor Fields with 122 points and Ryan Lockberry with 116. So sorry, I just said 130. They're getting about 120 points, and I think they're going to be better this year. Ryan Smith with 84 points, which again, he might end up taking a little bit of a step as well this season. You got McConvey with 76 points, and then a really fall off, right? So you got those 4. There's another 4 main guys there that are doing a lot of the scoring, but you got 2 40-goal guys. Ryan Smith almost put 50 up, and then you've got McConvey with 31 and Ryan Lockberry with 27. So, or Launchberry with 27. So, I mean, you can't, that's some good production. I see very similar. This offense again is going to be very similar, except slot in Zed Williams with them. A lot of people have Rochester very high up on their list. I think they're a little bit overrated. Again, I just think that, it's not that I don't think they're good. I think they have 2 guys that can score a lot. I think Ryan Smith, you never know where he's going to end up. Like, he could end up being top scorer in the league too, possibly, the way his production is. And I could be wrong. And when I say this, they do that. The nice thing about the production out of them is, it needs to be high in order for them to, give themselves a chance. So, they're going to get lots of points. But it's the drop off for me between, those top 4 guys and the rest of the players a little bit. I would like to see a little bit better depth scoring in there. Also, maybe, but again, with Zed there, I guess it's going to be different. You know what? I might take that back. With Zed being there now, that might give them even more of an offensive presence, which is crazy. And we're going to see what happens here in the regular season. For some reason, I'm just not as high on them as other teams. Rochester versus San Diego is interesting to me. San Diego, again, I'm more high on San Diego now than I was. I will say that. Trey LeClaire with 9 points last week, 5 goals, 4 assists. Dylan Watson with 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points. Wesley Berg with a goal and 4 assists. Noah Armitage with a goal and 2 assists. Corey Small with a goal and 3 assists. Ben McIntyre with 4 assists. Connor Robinson with a goal and 3 assists. Another big one. Zach Courier with 2 assists. I know he's a defenseman, or transition guy, I guess I should say. Realistically, again, Trevor DeBaptiste back there, they got a good team. I'm ready to admit that I was wrong. I am ready to admit that I was wrong about San Diego, and I think that they're a fantastic team. I think that they're pretty deep all over, especially watching them, and after even going over stats and stuff like that. They're very strong team, and I'm gonna have to say I was completely off base on them. They got 16 goals for, 13 goals against. Obviously, could probably be a little bit better defensively. Not gonna lie, but I mean they were playing, Ottawa, which in my opinion is a pretty decent team. Robert Hellier being on the opposite side of Jeff Teat just makes that offense, a lot better. But San Diego, man, I think that they might just be they got a lot of guys who can put the ball in the net as well. San Diego, I think, it's all solid goaltending, and solid defense. There's a couple guys back there that you really don't want to you don't want to have to run through. Baptiste is a perfect example of that veteran defenseman that's really good. I'm gonna have to say San Diego on this one. As much as I talked so much shit about them before the season, I have changed my tune on them. Who knows? Maybe I'll be a San Diego fan. I kind of like one of those things. San Diego, just a little sidebar here. San Diego to me is like, I was like, at first I was like, fuck, those jerseys are ugly, especially the yellow ones. And I'm like, I don't know, I kind of like them. So they're different. So we'll see. Somebody in the comments that's a Seals fan, pull me towards that franchise. Because it's like one of those things that it's almost like I didn't like them at first and now they're starting to reel me in. So again, I hope we see them have a good turnout in their fans, because I know they've had a hard time kind of filling the stands along the way too. So it'd be nice to see them be able to get the stands in. So yeah, so I've rambled on long enough here, guys. I really have. I went into a deep dive into all the teams, and this is kind of, you can tell me, leave in the comments if you like this in-depth stuff, if you want me to try to run through it faster than this, and we'll kind of go from there. So we're going to get right into the Charlie interview here. Charlie Malcom was nice enough to come on. 15-year-old kid, kind of really just has a really good mindset to him about how lacrosse is, where his future is. He's so young. He's still got so many options. He definitely wants to get his schooling done first, which I think is every kid and every player should do, because at the end of the day, you don't know what's going to happen with injuries. And at least if you can, his dad always says this, and I like this quote: "You can control what you can control." And I think that's actually a really smart quote by people that are like smart people say that. And I think that's really a great mindset to have, honestly. So this is something that he can obviously control, is just by getting good grades, going to school, playing lacrosse, doing your best while you're out there, and just having a good time. And at the end of the day, you gotta enjoy the process. Without further ado, let's get right into it. It's a great interview, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So let's go. All right, on today's episode of Anything Lacrosse, we've got Charlie Malcom, who's got a couple cousins in the league already. So welcome to the show, buddy. How you doing?
Good, man. You?
Good, man. So just to start off, how'd you start getting into lacrosse? You're obviously kind of born into it a little bit.
Yeah, obviously. So my cousins and my uncles, my dad, they always played the sport growing up. So ever since I was born and I can walk, I always had a lacrosse stick in my hands. If it was the backyard or playing past with my cousins or dad, it always just came naturally to me.
Remember how old you were when you like kind of picked up a lacrosse stick for the first time and started playing?
Yeah, 3 to 4.
Do you remember if it was natural, or is that just such an old memory that now it's just always been kind of natural the whole time you've had a lacrosse stick in your
Yeah,
hand?
it's always been natural the whole time. I mean, it was one of my first Christmas presents I ever had when I was younger. So ever since I could crawl or walk, it just always carried around the house. And before you know it, I was playing.
Right on, man. I noticed, I mean, my nephew's like that too. He's been born with a lacrosse stick. My son too. My uncle his uncle got him a lacrosse stick right away as well. So they're always, it always seems to be, you're born into it kind of deal. Growing up in a lacrosse family, what kind of impact did that have on you? Especially having guys who are in that top level league, best in the world.
It definitely impacted me a lot in a positive way. I've always had unreal coaching from family members and connections that they've had. They've always been super helpful and teaching me just my whole way up, just as soon as I started picking up a stick to where I am now.
All right. So is like for you, what's the goal in lacrosse? Is it just kind of just get out there and have fun, or are you looking to play at a higher level?
I'm definitely looking to go to college to get educated there, hopefully play Division 1. That's my goal. And then I'm really into the NLL, so hopefully after that, that would be my goal, to play in the NLL.
I love that thought process or that mindset, man, because a lot of people are so focused on the pros, and I think more guys should be focused on getting an education and then maybe going pro. So for for a young player, you play at such a high level. Like, kind of give me a breakdown of what you're playing this season and where you're at today.
So I play for a few travel field lacrosse teams right now, and we'll go down to the States and we'll play against other competition. It really just helps get your name out there, play better competition that you wouldn't play down here, and just have a lot of fun, meet new people.
Now, do you prefer field or do you prefer box?
Box is my favorite.
Yeah, I find with field, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just a fan here, but I find field, it's really about speed and agility and trying to like really have a good outside shot, where box is more in close quarters. And
Yeah, field is definitely a very athletic position. You definitely have to be an athlete to excel in that game. It's all about the one-on-one matchups and shooting the ball from the outside, being a beast out there. Box, it's everyone can have their own way of being very good. It's just you just got to find what you're good at and stick with it. Boxes, you can be very creative, you can be skilled, you can be big, fast, strong, everything.
Now, with training and stuff, do you find that having your cousins play in a higher level, are they giving you tips and stuff like that?
Yes, for sure. If definitely it's on the floor, off the floor, physical conditioning, like shooting, anything like that, like the way they think when they go out there, what they're trying to do. Definitely learn a lot off them, and yeah, it's really helpful.
Yeah, I mean lacrosse. I mean, I know you mentioned how they were thinking like lacrosse IQ is so important. What do you think? Do you think you have a good advantage being born into this? And how do you think that shaped you as a lacrosse player so far?
Yeah, I like to think I'm a pretty skillful and high IQ player. I definitely like reading the play and making the right decision. I think I benefited a lot just always watching the game at a young age and really learning what other players, older guys, professional players were doing out there.
One thing that they've kind of mentioned to you about your game that's really stuck with you and you've tried to improve.
Well, they're speedsters, right? My speed, it's pretty good, but I'm more of like a scorer and a facilitator. So what I'm trying to do is try to replicate their speed right now.
Is there anybody that you really enjoy watching that you try to replicate your game after?
Obviously, my cousins, especially Will, because he's an offensive player. I'm more of an offensive player myself, but I really like Hayden Dixon. I think he's a great scorer. I watch him play all the time in the summer league. He plays on the same team as my cousins, and I really like the way he plays.
I mean, your cousin had a big game last, what was it, 2 weeks ago, and I mean, Hayden Dixon just had an amazing night the other night too, right? So both those guys, they're definitely guys you could look up to and watch and learn from. Kind of figure out you wanted to pursue lacrosse seriously, or is that just something that's kind of come natural to you?
It's always been in my blood to really play lacrosse, and it's been my dream ever since. No one's ever forced it on me. Like my dad will say, I just go out there and I have a lot of fun. It's what I want to do. No one forces it on me.
Yeah, man, I mean, that's what you can't force anybody to become an athlete. It's kind of, you got to kind of have love for the sport. Or I always say with lacrosse, it's not something you can fake when you go out there. You have to really have your head up and know what's going on because you can get pretty hurt out there if you're not paying attention. I know you were a ball boy for the New West Sam Bellies during the Man Cup. How was that experience? Just break that down for us. How'd you get that position? And also, what was the experience being so close to like the heat of the game?
The experience was absolutely unreal. I've never seen that many fans in my home arena, Queen's Park. That's where I'm from, New Westminster there. It was just absolutely packed. The atmosphere was crazy, the energy in that building. Even the drums were very cool. I became a ball boy just because like my cousins were on the team and I kind of knew some of the other players because my cousins would always be friends with them. I knew them since I was young. So I kind of just jumped into it a few years ago. I've been doing it ever since, but that was my last year doing it. It was a lot of fun.
That's awesome, man. So give me like one thing that really stood out to you during that tournament, or while you were ball boy for the team.
Probably every game playing pass with my cousin at the top center there, at the middle of the floor before he would go out.
And is there anything that you picked up that you've added to your game since you were there and experienced that?
Definitely playing in close quarters more and seeing what it's like for those guys scoring when they use their shoulders and their head, just they move the goalie. That's what I've taken in from that.
That's awesome, dude. No, that's great. That's a killer experience. Most kids don't get that, so that's awesome, man. Now, as far as the players go, is there a couple players that really stand out that kind of took the time, extra time to talk to you, or kind of were just overly nice?
Definitely Ty Kurtz. A lot like during the summer he taught me a lot about scoring and shooting on goalies, what he's trying to do out there, and I just try to replicate it. He honestly taught me a lot of great things that I use to this day in games.
Yeah, man, it really is what separates the really good players from the great players is just the little things, right? How they do the little things right. It's just it's funny watching somebody that's, maybe average compared to somebody that's so good and that at that next level. So, what did being around pressure teach you about the professional level if you get there, hopefully you do one day?
Definitely, I definitely know how to handle pressure. Like, I obviously don't not near the professional level yet, not even junior, but as I play in more games and bigger games, if it's like the championship game or a lot of people who are important to me are watching, I definitely handle the pressure really well.
So give us some like one memory that you have or one experience that you've had that's been kind of the top level of your playing experience right now. Like, is it a championship win? Is it being player of the game in one of these tournaments? Or
Probably playing for Team Canada West this summer. I played against Team USA. It was an unreal experience.
yeah, man. I mean, I'm a fan, obviously. So there's all that, back and forth and stuff between the fans. But do you find the players going from Canada and US? It's a like, is there it? Do those games mean more to you guys as players? Do you find?
Definitely. It's definitely a rivalry out there. It makes it a lot of fun. It's just like the compete level between the two teams. It makes the game awesome. It's real close. Everybody cares just that little bit more because you're representing your country and you're playing against Team USA.
Yeah, man. So what's your goals for this season? Like what I know we're obviously not in the I know you're in field right now, just doing some travel, but for box season when it does start, what are you hoping to achieve this year?
Provincial gold medal.
That's awesome. Okay, so tell me a little bit more about the Sandbillies there because I know it's such an historic rink, or arena, sorry, and I know it's been, they've redone the floors, for example, but it's still got that old soul to it. How do you? Just give me a little bit of insight into the rink itself or into the arena itself.
Absolutely love Queen's Park Arena. It's my favorite arena I've ever been in. I've been in so many arenas, but none of them can compare to Queen's Park. It's just the floor, the history, like all my uncles and cousins and dad that played there, just the stories I hear about it, just everything. When I walk in there, it's different than any other arena.
Yeah, man, honestly, like even just me, I could just feel it from just watching it on TV. So to be there would be, super special. And even I know that community, it's a super heavy lacrosse community. So can you just kind of talk about the community as well a little bit?
The community is great. There's a lot of people, especially in the summer, you'll see walking to Queen's Park Arena going into the games. Just the community, most people are there. It's packed, it's loud, especially the Man Cup. It was almost a city event, not just a lacrosse event. Everybody knew what was going on.
Do you find there's like a lot of kids in your school and stuff that play lacrosse? Like, is it one of the more popular sports in that area?
Definitely, yeah, it's one of the more popular sports. There's a lot of kids that play lacrosse in my school. We actually have a high school team. There's a good bunch there, sorry, that play lacrosse.
I know, man. I know that BC league and like even like into Alberta, there's some really, really top areas and top players come out of there. Who do you find is the hardest kind of area to play that you guys go up against?
Any of the island teams, so like Vancouver Island, those teams are always tough. They're big, they're strong, they're skilled, they play well together.
Okay, so all right, so tell me what you're kind of focusing on your game right now. What are you trying to get better at?
Trying to get better at probably dodging, like going against my defender one on one. Really just keep trying to get better at everything because I'm not near my full potential yet. Obviously, I'm still super young. So just finding what I'm great at, or sorry, what I'm good at. Just keep working hard, making my teammates around me better. That's pretty much it.
So what would you like for younger guys, especially, starting to learn lacrosse and stuff, what would you tell them to focus on? Just like basically the basics, or is it just reps that basically they need to do, or is it something else that they could add?
Reps and always have your lacrosse stick in your hands is the biggest thing.
Yeah, man, trying to keep that ball in there too is obviously super important and moving with it as well, right? So what do you find is the biggest jump that players need to make going from kind of playing like in a rec league to playing in that competitive level travel team?
Definitely the pace of the game is a lot faster. I say just more physical, it's faster. Everyone's better out there, so it really changes like the structure of the game and the way people play in like a house league to a rep league, and like the translation is a lot different.
And like, what's your training schedule look like as well? Like as a 15-year-old trying to maybe go to that university level.
We'll practice either 3 to 4 times a week because I play for a few teams. So practice 3 to 4 times a week, and then definitely just doing my own thing. If it's going to the field, if it's playing wall ball, working out, working on my like footwork, stuff like that. Definitely every day.
Yeah, obviously, like I mean, reps and every day repetition, all that kind of stuff is really what makes the difference between these players. I find from everybody I talk to as well. So, is there something that players kind of overlook that you find maybe that you would say is something simple that they can fix?
I say definitely mental focus. Being dialed in on the game is a big one for me. I'm always like very focused on the task at hand, like when I'm in the game. I find a lot of players, they go out there, they have their fun, obviously. It's all what it's about, having fun, but they're not very focused at times.
What's one habit or routine that you find makes the biggest difference in you?
Really just being comfortable where I am in the game, and like a routine could be something before the game, during or after. Definitely before the game, I like to go on the floor. I like to like get my body warm, my stick warm, I get focused, mentally prepare myself. That's probably my biggest routine.
Are you into like weightlifting or anything like that as well already at this
Yeah,
age?
I'm just starting it right now, honestly. It's because my cousins, they're telling me it's a big part. They're very into being, I was always into working out and working on my footwork or my speed, but I'm just really getting into the gym now and just figuring out.
Yeah, man, it's definitely important, and I always tell younger players to just be careful with the weight limits and stuff like that. But definitely, I think strength training is so important for all young guys. Okay, so a couple things about your cousins here. Like, which one do you think is more chirpy out of the two of them?
I don't know. Will had some nice goals last game, and he'd go up to the glass and he'd let the fans know. But in all honesty, I think they all keep to themselves. They never start anything. They're not fighters at all. They're out there to win the game, help their team out, and score. But I say Will is probably most chirpy.
Yeah, as fans, I mean, I love to watch that stuff. I mean, I just think it's funny and it kind of gives that flavor, extra flavor to the game. And that's what I find with lacrosse players, comparing even hockey players. It's like they're kind of more not as media trained is the best way I can put it.
Yeah.
Give me one piece of advice each of them have you given you over the years that's really made an impact to you.
Definitely Will, always teaching me stuff, but the biggest piece of advice that my cousins have given to me is just, like, go out there, have fun, make other people around you better, just really it's just about, like, going out there. It's not always the end result or the score, it's going out there, having fun, working with your teammates, improving yourself. It's really it, doing what you love.
So I always talk about loose balls. I think loose balls is kind of like an unsung stat. And I think it can be a big game changer. Like I was watching the Halifax game this last weekend and like Jake Withers, right? Just so many loose ball pickups. I can't remember who it was, but somebody on Calgary had 19 and like look what they did, right? So is there a stat, like it could be loose balls or if it's something else that you think people overlook during a game?
I say definitely loose balls. Those are very important. Loose balls for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's what I always find. I find people don't give that enough credit. So, okay, so how competitive is your family like when you guys are just doing on even non-lacrosse stuff?
Pretty competitive. Like me and my cousins, we all have a cabin and we'll go play games and stuff and we'll do whatever. We'll mess around, but it's competitive for sure. It's a lot of fun.
All right, yeah, that's awesome, man. I mean, I know I'm competitive with my wife and kids and stuff, so I can just imagine what it is with athletes. So, all right, so let's talk the NLL for a little bit, man. So, first off, just give me your favorite team, and then obviously your favorite players, minus your cousins, because
Okay, my favorite teams are Vegas, Colorado. Those two, because my cousins played for both of them.
yeah.
My favorite players other than my our cousins have to be Hayden Dixon. I already mentioned him. Alex Simmons, I really like him. He's crafty. He gets underneath. He's very good at scoring. I like those two right now. Jeff Teat is a big one. He's very good. I say those three right now are the biggest.
There's some big guys right there. There's so many good guys in this league. It really you could pick out anybody, and it'd be worth it. Okay, so is there a team that you follow the closest? I know you mentioned a couple, but is there one that you follow closer than others? Obviously, probably Colorado.
Colorado, Vegas, but Buffalo's a big one. I just like watching them play. Their offense is amazing. So definitely them.
Yeah, man. I mean, Buffalo is a special team. Guys that are going to go down in history. I think Colorado, even them, to me, they impressed me more than I thought they were. My expectations were a little lower on them before the preseason. Preseason elevated, and then now they beat Vancouver, and I'm like, they have one more big win, man, and Colorado's going to be getting talked about a lot. What part of the program do you think young players don't appreciate enough?
Hmm. The physicality. I think it's a war out there. Like I know guys, they're banged up for sure after every game. So what makes like say for example like the 7 games in the Man Cup where they're almost playing every day? That's what makes it amazing. It's just the physical toll it takes on your body. Those guys are going out there every other night and playing their best game, trying to win the championship.
Yeah, man. I find it funny that the Man Cup has so many more games, I guess, in the playoffs than the NLL does. What do you think the sweet spot is for a playoff series or even just a regular season? Like, what do you think will be kind of how many games should we aim for during the season and then into the playoffs?
I kind of like how the NLL has it right now. It's kind of like a football schedule, so almost every game matters. Where like for example in a hockey or a basketball or even obviously a baseball, not so much. I like how every game matters and guys really go out there and try their best because it can determine their year-end success in terms of making the playoffs. And for the playoffs, in terms of series, I like the 5-7 game, like either 5 or 7. I don't really like the best of threes or anything. I just doesn't. Sometimes it's not the better team that comes out with it.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that actually because like I hate the single elimination games. I just don't think it's enough. I think I would like to see 3-5-5 at least. Even I could love it. I would love a 7 game series, obviously, but I get that that's a lot. But yeah, even like look at San Diego last year, just beating Buffalo by 1 in that first round, and then and then Buffalo goes on to win the championship, and like San Diego went out in the first round, but realistically, they could have been considered the second best team in the playoffs last year.
Exactly.
Okay, so now I know you touched on this a little bit earlier, but do you see yourself playing in the NL later on? And then also, do you like, if you do want to go NLL, are you thinking like 4 years college for sure, or just kind of cross that bridge when you get there?
I'm definitely thinking 4 years college for sure. I'd like to finish college, get my education. But yeah, I would like to think I have a decent chance of making it. I think I'm just developing right now, getting bigger. I'm not the biggest guy out there. I'm not the strongest for sure, but I think what sets me apart is my skill and my will to win. I hope I can make it to that NLL level.
That's awesome, man. And I'm a big believer in manifestation. Do you know what manifestation is?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, so it's basically like speaking things into existence. So when you say it, say it confidently, because if you don't believe in yourself, no one else will. But I think that you're gonna do fine, dude. And I like your mindset on trying to get an education first, because with injuries you just never know. And then trying to go pro, I think that's an amazing dream and goal. And I think for you it's definitely realistic. Okay, so is there a system, an offensive system that you prefer to play in, or are you just really adaptable to whatever system you need to get into?
I like to think I'm adaptable, but definitely my favorite is kind of like free play, not so much structure all the time, going out there and doing X and O's every single play. I like just free play and going out there doing whatever.
So let's talk about some of the, like, I know you play in so many different teams and you stuff, and you've said, and you've played for so many teams already, but by your age now, what do you consider to be a good coach? Also, how do you like to be coached? And just give us some insight on that.
I think a good coach is a positive coach that listens to his players and takes ideas in. Like, I just like any coach that lets you go out there and play. It's not super strict or you have to do this and that. A coach that hears his players out, has fun while wins games.
And like when you're playing with, some of these guys, are you doing a lot of talking on the bench? Or are you just kind of going out there and seeing what happens more?
Yeah, I'm not much of a leader myself. Like, I've never worn a C on my jersey or anything, but I like to just give ideas, especially if I'm playing offense. Maybe on the bench we'll go over something before we go out there. I like to give my ideas and chip in, but I'm definitely not the biggest leader. I go out there, have fun, and just play my game.
All right. And so if you were talking to a younger version of yourself, or even, somebody around the age of 10, let's say, and just starting to get into lacrosse, what would you say? Would it just be kind of, enjoy the process, or is there anything that they should be trying to kind of get down right away in order to give them that acceleration?
Definitely keep working hard, take it all in. The journey is the fun part.
Yeah, absolutely, man, for sure. You have a very wise mind for such a young age, I'll tell you that. So, what do you find that some mistakes that maybe that you've made, or some of your teammates have made, or your friends, that they could have improved on, that you've noticed?
Mistakes. Maybe just rushing it too much, like thinking you all have to have it figured out now when you're super young. I think as you get older, you get bigger, you get stronger, you learn more about the game, you become more skilled. You don't have to all figure it out when you're young to be a good player. Guys excel at different ages if they're 5 years old or they're 15 years old.
Yeah, definitely. Some guys, it just depends on when they get a growth spurt, or, when they really, I think passion's the number one thing you need to have to play at any high level sport. So that's the number one thing. If a guy doesn't have that, it doesn't matter. Okay. So what would you tell players who feel behind compared to other players?
Keep working hard. I'm not the biggest guy out there, so I'm considered like behind them in terms of like my size or whatever, but I don't really let it get to me that much or take advantage of the way I go out there and play. I say just work as hard as you can, do the things, control the things you can control is something my dad has always told me to do. Just keep a positive mind.
I love that. Control the things you can control. I love that. Your dad's a smart guy. How important is IQ versus athleticism? Like, do you think that, which one do you think is more important? Obviously, if you have both, great. But do you think IQ, makes a big difference essentially?
I definitely think IQ in the higher levels of the game is more important than athleticism, sorry. But I think lacrosse is one of those sports is if you're an athlete, you can be a good lacrosse player for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just has so many factors and skills that could transfer over to all other sports as well, right? And you see that sometimes. You'll see a lacrosse guy go and play a different sport just to kind of give himself the opportunity. So, okay, so back to the NLL. I want to talk to that about a little bit more. Give me some predictions for the season. Like, who are you thinking you're going to take to win the championship? You know, who do you think's going to have? Also, who do you think's going to have a good season that maybe people aren't talking about? Your cousin's starting to start it off very well.
Yeah. I think there's not a lot of hype around Saskatchewan right now. I think they're going to be a very good team. Not a lot of people are talking about them. More talking about the Warriors, the Bandits, Halifax. So I think the Rush, just especially last year, the season they're coming off, they're definitely hungry to win the championship. They'll be back there, I think. But I think with Vegas, the guys that they brought in, definitely a lot of leaders and a lot of veterans. I think they're going to have a great chance of making the playoffs and going deeper in the season with success.
And like for the games this week, who do you got? Who do you think's going to win? Want me
Hmm.
to run through them with you quick?
Well, I know one for sure.
Okay.
Vegas Warriors. I'm going to be at that game. That's in Vancouver.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
got I got one of my favorite teams, Vegas. I got them winning it. I think they're gonna be hard.
Okay. So you're more of a Vegas guy than you are a Vancouver guy.
Yeah, well, it's hard when I got family on the Vegas team.
Of
Obviously, I'm always
course.
rooting for them.
Of course. Yeah, no, of course. You get a little bit of I think you get a little bit of a pass when you get that. So, okay, so Saskatchewan, Ottawa, who you got?
Saskatchewan.
Okay, cool. They pretty much came in with the same game as last year. So Colorado, Philadelphia, and how many goals is your cousin going to get this week?
I don't want to jinx them, but I won't say anything about his goals. But I think Colorado will come with the win. Dylan Ward's been playing very well. Their goalie. I think he'll have another good week.
Yeah, man. I mean, I like both their goalies to be honest with you. Like Whittam, I really like a lot. I mean, Ward's probably a top 5 goalie of all time, and I didn't honestly. I thought he was going to dip a little bit this year, but the last game looked absolutely lights out for him. So Calgary, Toronto.
Calgary.
Really? Okay, interesting.
I think so.
Like, give me some insight in that. What do you say that?
I think they have a great offense, especially with like Tyler Pace kind of being like the veteran leader back there. He's an extremely smart player. Hayden Dixon, he's a great goal scorer, and then Noah Manning, he surprised me. He's very good coming out in his debut there. Looks comfortable.
Yeah, I'm actually a little bit surprised by Calgary how good they did last week. I think if they can just kind of, Aiden Walsh looked a little nervous to me at the beginning of that game, and I think if he was kind of set in, I think they could have probably won that game. To be honest with you, which is crazy.
I think Walsh is good though. Like he was a good backup
Yeah.
for Vancouver before Del Bianco came there. He was pretty good. I think he's going to do well in Calgary this year. I hope he does well.
I like Walsh too, man. I was saying the same thing. I think it kind of gives him a little bit of a chip on his shoulder because he gets to go in and when he plays Vancouver or something, he's gonna, kind of have that chip and say, you guys traded me away. Here's what you gave away. So, okay. So what about Halifax, Buffalo?
I think Halifax will play well on the back end against Buffalo. Their defense will be very good. I'm going to take Halifax.
Yeah, I agree with you there too, buddy. I think Halifax is. I went to the game last week and they're looking like a championship caliber team. You got Oshawa versus Georgia next.
Georgia. I think they're going to be good this year.
Okay, that's interesting too, man. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think Oshawa's gonna have a bounce back game, and I don't see Alex Simmons and Dyson, not really performing this week. I can't see it, and Kurtz
Yeah.
too.
It's going to be tough too with Dougie Jamieson in their net there. He's an unreal goalie. He can just change any game.
Well, I mean, that first week was just amazing, and I mean, even last week I found he didn't play bad really. Like he still was decent. It's just you had Hill still a game.
Then again, Oshawa's shooters just didn't have the greatest night. So they're hungry for a big one. So they could be 10 plus goals.
Yeah, I think that's a both for sure, man. That could go either way. And then finally, you got Rochester versus San Diego.
I think Rochester. I think they're gonna be pretty good this year. I heard.
Okay,
Fields is
cool.
hurt,
Because
though.
okay, that's the thing. I find myself. I mean, Rochester. I find I find Rochester and Vegas very similar. Like very, very offensively talented. Have some pieces on the back end, but I find if they're going to add anywhere, it should be there kind of deal. And we'll see how the goalies perform too. That's another thing with Rochester. So okay, so give me like. Do you have like a favorite stick setup or anything?
Yeah, I got my stick right here.
Oh, cool, man. Are you a brand guy? Like, do you like certain brands?
I like Warrior. This is
Okay,
my stick
cool.
right here. I like two shooters. I just like a kind of mid-high pocket here. Ball just comes out very easy. It's a wider head. I like that more for box across. Just get it in there, get it out. More smooth. Yeah, I just like a smooth release on it. Not a lot of hold too.
Okay. Is there a different setup you use for like field and then box?
No change.
No,
at
okay,
all.
same setup.
Yep.
So give me your favorite lacrosse memory so far, and I mean I'm sure you've got lots of them.
Definitely being a ball boy in that Man Cup this year.
Yeah, man, that's a pretty special experience, especially during that. And like I honestly thought the Chiefs were going to come in there and walk them, and like the Salmon Bellies impressed the heck out of me. Now I'm a newer fan, so what do I know? But I mean, just that Chiefs roster was just like it was like the All-Star roster. Even that to me is basically the All-Star game that
Yeah,
everyone
it
wants, right?
was.
Yeah. So, okay. So, what do you think about? There's a lot of talk about flipping the league, going from, starting in November to where we start more towards late spring into summer or even play across that. What do you think about that?
I don't really like that idea at all because I love the summer league, like the WLA and the Ontario League. I love watching that league. It's my favorite league, especially the Man Cup there. Like I don't want any of that to go.
I know, and that's the thing that I look into. I know like there's so much history in the Man Cup, but I do find if you want to make this a major league, you kind of have to have that feeder league, right? So it's kind of and again, I find with that is there's really only like what is there like 4 teams that have won the Man Cup in the last how many years?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the only thing I find with it, but in all fairness, I know like I love the Chiefs. I think that the Salmon Bellies are a really cool franchise. I know there's like the Shamrocks, there's a couple other big franchises out there as well. And the thing about this game is you never know what's going to happen. But interesting to see. Okay, so you're on the fence that you want to keep it the same. Awesome. Okay, so if you could play in one arena that you haven't, maybe that you've never played in, what would it be?
Rogers Arena.
Okay, cool.
So the
Is there
Vancouver
any
Wa
specific reason?
Just like it's pretty much a party in there. It's wild. It's huge. They always got good fans. I really like the arena too.
So have you been to, like, how many arenas have you been to? Is it just the one in Vancouver, or have you been to other ones as well?
Watching lacrosse games?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been to other ones. I've been to like the Langley Event Center. That's when the Stealth were back there a couple years ago. Been to the Rogers Arena, and I think those are just the two for the NLL I've been to watch.
Okay, well, I don't know how much you know about Colorado's arena, but I have one follower that has been to 12 out of 14 of them, and I asked him who he thought like had the best arena, and he said actually Colorado, which I was a little surprised about, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I really like that arena. I've never been, but I just see it on TV. It looks really cool. It's loud in there too. My cousin tells me about it all the time. It's really cool in there.
Now, I know your one cousin plays for Vegas as well, obviously. What do you think about their team overall? Like, I personally think people are really sleeping on Vegas. Like, I have them in my top 5, I think. And like everyone else I notice as of like, maybe probably missing the playoffs, really. So, what's your thoughts on Vegas in general?
I think they're gonna have a good year. I think there's a lot of veteran leadership that they brought in, like Mitch Jones and John Donville. Sorry, he's a very good player. He's a great leader. Also, I think just the guys they brought in, their defense is definitely hungry and they play hard. I've seen just from like preseason games. I think they're gonna have a good year.
All right, so what's your biggest goal of 2026, man?
Definitely continue to become a better lacrosse player, get more bigger, stronger, faster in the gym. Just go to the right tournaments to like promote myself to like college coaches. Just keep working hard in school and lacrosse.
Okay, and is there like a team that you're really trying to strive out for this year? Is there somebody you really want to make, or a team you really want to make?
All the teams I'm on right now are definitely teams I'm gonna be trying out for again. So I hope I make those teams again. Obviously. Yeah, I say that. Just those teams.
Okay, cool. And for box, are you going for the same team you played for last year then? Okay, cool. Right on, man. Okay, so give me a little insight into like how you balance lacrosse, school, and then just the social life as well, because I'm sure between those two, it's a lot.
Well, I definitely put like the hard work first. So if it's like school or anything, I'll put that first. So like then I'll work and then I'll like have fun, for example. So maybe if it's going to lacrosse practice, I'm getting my schoolwork done there, or do it before. So when I'm done lacrosse practice, I can have social time, chill time with my family or whatever. I think I balance it pretty well compared to some other people. I definitely find other people struggle with the balance, but I think I got it figured out pretty good here. And that will just help me later on when things get more busy and more tough.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, discipline and scheduling, I think, is the biggest things for professional athletes that I've heard of. And so, can you just kind of go into, do you feel any pressure coming from such a high pedigree lacrosse family, or is it just kind of, it's just kind of you've been born into it, so you're used to it?
Really, really no pressure. No, I've been born into it, as you say, so I'm pretty kind of used to it. Definitely very excited to like show what I can do and become the player. Keep becoming better.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. No, that's great. That's great to hear. You've got a great mindset, man. So, thanks for getting on. If there's anything you want to say, or kind of feel free to input it now.
No, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Okay, man. I appreciate all the insight, and I'm sure I'll have you on again. I'm looking forward to watching you develop as a player, and I think that you're going to do great things, man. So, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Have a good one.
You too, buddy.
See ya.
All right, so I want to say thank you again to Charlie for coming on. I always appreciate anybody who gives me their time. I don't care how old or how young you are. I don't care if you're whatever gender you are. Anybody that takes their time out of their day to come talk to me, who's just some guy on the internet with a microphone, and that has tried to really, learn this sport, this love of. I have fallen in love with this game, and the fact that I get to do, this and talk to the people that I get to talk to. I just, it's unbelievable for me. So Charlie is going to be just by his mindset, the way he talks, holds himself, and he's not cocky by any means. You can tell he's a good player, right? I can go pull up his stats and they're pretty solid, but I can tell the kid's a good player. He's a good kid. Comes from a good lacrosse family. He's got all the right connections. He's got the right attitude, and I can't wait to see him play in the league one day, because the way he is and the way his work ethic is, and he's already got that maturity level, I think that there's no, you're not going to tell me that that kid's not going to make it. And at the end of the day, let's talk about what making it is right now, right? So everyone thinks when I say make it, and I'm pretty vocal on this, so I don't know, maybe not me, but I think a lot of people, when they talk about their kids, whether it's whatever sport, making it, it's always the pros, and making it like you get a scholarship for school. If you can get partial or full scholarship paid, like, you're winning in life, guys. You get to go to school, education, don't have to worry about anything, and you get to play lacrosse, and a game that you love, hopefully, and do something, and get a good education, and connect and use those networking connections and friendships that you make throughout that process, and to continue on into the real world. And maybe, hopefully you do get to go pro. And I think we will probably honestly see Charlie go pro, to be honest with you. I'm going to call that out now, just by his mindset, and everything I talked about, his work ethic, his mindset, his pedigree, the way he comes from New Westminster, which is it's the mecca of junior lacrosse, essentially. There's Ontario and then out there. And those are the two meccas. And that's they produce the best players in the world between those two areas, essentially. So USA is starting to come up, though. It's BC guys, it's Alberta guys, and it's the Six Nation guys, and all in the Southern Ontario, New York region kind of deal, that the best players in the world come from. It's no surprise, because these guys really do live, eat, breathe lacrosse, and you've seen that in the interview when we were talking to him about that. So again, thank you for him for being on. I like to bring on different guests. I'm always looking for different opinions, and I've tried to do that, and I think Charlie was a great guest to have on. So again, I really appreciate him coming on. So let's move right on to, I want to touch base on the power rankings right now. So I think the NLL actually banged on power rankings this week. There's a couple tweaks that I would have done, maybe, arguably, but I understand what they did it. So they got Buffalo 1, Saskatchewan 2. Now, I personally would flip that, but I understand until Buffalo loses a game, there's no way that's happening. Buffalo is going to be that power ranking 1, which I completely understand. So I do understand why it's like that. Halifax moved up to 3, which I think was the right decision. Vancouver losing against Colorado is a really big loss for them, because I think to be in this top tier cream of the crop teams, you have to really beat the teams you're supposed to, right? Vancouver moves down to 4th, which again, I can definitely see that. That's probably the proper spot for them. Rochester 5th. Again, I'm not as high on as everybody on Rochester, but there's a lot of people that are really high on Rochester, so I can understand why they're sitting here. So I get that. 6 is the Seals. I honestly if it was me, I probably would flip the Seals, Colorado, then Rochester, but it's so close that I understand. And I think it's going to determine what Rochester, San Diego does. And I think Colorado, if they win, they'll move up. So you're going to probably see San Diego take that 5th spot, Rochester move down to the 7th, and then Colorado move up, probably, is where I'm thinking. Maybe Rochester move down to 8th, depends on how everything falls. And then Oshawa in 8th, I think, is the right move as well. So it goes Rochester, San Diego, Colorado, and then at the end at 8. So that's your top 8. So Buffalo, Saskatchewan, Halifax, Vancouver, Rochester, San Diego, Colorado, and Oshawa. So, Toronto, they had a bye week last week. They're going to come back. They need a win to try to sneak in here. You've got so many teams that, are right there on the edge. We're going to see what happens. I'm glad they put Colorado in here. I really am. I think that was the right move. I think this is, like I said, I think this is the best top 8 that you could have right now. And again, some teams just haven't played. Some teams, underperformed a little bit, and we're going to see as the season goes on. Right now, to be honest with you, I think if you took out Rochester, you could have and put in Vegas. I think you almost have a playoff picture right there, to be honest with you. That's just my opinion. I said Ottawa at the beginning of the season, and right now I'm going to stick with that as well. I think Ottawa should be in there. It's rough though, because now I do think San Diego is a playoff team, so that's why it's like, if I had to bump one team out that I had in here, it's got to be, I don't know, man, Oshawa or Ottawa. It's kind of one of those. That's a toss up for me. So we'll have to see how this plays out, but it's going to be a tight thing this season, and I am so excited for this, because at the end of the day, the tighter the games, the better it is for us as fans, right? So because at the end, like, if you knew exactly what every game was going to happen, nobody would really like watching the sport, right? And the way this is that you can't really tell. Like, a lot of these games, There's one, maybe two that you can kind of be like, okay, that those teams going to win. But realistically, all these games are pretty much a toss up this week. And that is what makes this exciting. And that's why I love this sport. Finally, I want to talk about the NLL being better than the PLL or box over field. Now, I got a little bit of pushback on this. I didn't realize this was a controversial take. I thought, box being better than field is just kind of generally like known. And I talked to people about this, and everybody I ask if they like box or field, they say box. Now, in all fairness, I'm kind of in this echo chamber, so I try to keep that in mind. And I mean, if you look at the viewership numbers, PLL has better numbers than the NLL, but is it just marketing? I don't know, because I think the product in the NLL is a lot better. All the best players play in the NLL. All the best players don't play in the PLL. Like they have guys who are in the summer leagues for box. So again, that's another factor that's going on in here that leans me into that. Box is more exciting in my opinion for the casual fan or new fan, because I'm one of those fans. Starting last, I didn't start watching this till February. Now, as I go on, I can appreciate field more. And I can't remember who I heard this quote from, so I don't want to steal it. But someone said, I heard them say, field is a gentleman's game. Box is controlled chaos. My life's controlled chaos, guys. I love controlled chaos. That's why I love box. It's harder hitting. It's closer quarters. Size matters a bit more, all that kind of stuff. In field, it's more about athleticism, speed, and just accuracy in your shots. There's not as much contact. There's not as much. The goalies, I will say, some of the field goals I get impressed with. I will say, I'm like, holy cow. And that the fact that they wear no equipment basically is another thing that I'm like, these guys are just not right in the head. But thank God we have them, to be honest with you. So getting a lacrosse ball whipped on you, not my look at a good time. But hey, everybody, there needs to be goalies for this stuff. And my hat is off to these goalies, because you guys have more balls than me, I'll tell you that. So at least in box, you got some padding on. And don't get me wrong, I still wouldn't want to be a box goalie either. So just throwing that out there. Any goalie that plays, my brother's played goaltender in hockey, and as much as hockey's one thing, I think lacrosse is actually might be harder to be a goalie in lacrosse. So but there's a lot of people that kind of don't like these takes when I do these. Is the NHL better than this, or the NLL is better than the NHL, or CFL is better than the NLL, or NLL is better than CFL, or CLL, or CFL. Or the PLL is, or the NLL is better than PLL. Like, people don't like that divisive stuff. I don't personally get that, to be honest with you. And I'm going to explain here why. Because if I say this to a fan base of another thing that never has ever looked at lacrosse, right? And I say that, lacrosse is better. It still comes up on their page, and they still look at it, and then they argue with me, or they'll put in the comments, no, it's not. And I've had it happen with the NHLers fans. I've had the NHL fans. I've had it happen with the CFL fans now, and I've had a couple guys push back against the PLL, NLL thing. Everyone's got their taste, guys, at the end of the day. I just prefer box. I'm sure there's guys out there that prefer field. I'm sure there's guys that prefer the CFL. I'm sure there's guys that prefer the NFL. I'm sure there's guys that prefer a lot of other things other than lacrosse. At the end of the day, I personally think this is the best game in the world. That's why I'm covering it. There's nobody covering it. I'm covering it because of that. I am the lacrosse guy. I am trying to put this sport on the map. I'm doing all that. I'll take that. I'll take that all day. That doesn't offend me when people say that to me. It just gives me motivation to keep going, to be honest with you, because at the end of the day, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get eyes to this sport. And if that means I have to be a little bit controversial, that means I have to use my words to shift people into my videos. That's what I'm going to do. That's all I have right now. All I have is my words and my time and my brain and what comes out content wise. So, this is the thing about content, man. When you do hours, I do 2 podcasts a week. I try to aim for about an hour and a half. This other one earlier this week wasn't as long, because there just was only 2 games to talk about. But I try to aim for about an hour and a half each podcast, and sometimes longer. Sometimes I've had 2-hour podcasts. Other times I've had, just under an hour. So it just depends. But I do try to aim for about an hour and a half each podcast. That's where I like my sweet spot to be. And I make 3 TikToks a day, post them onto YouTube. I'm all over the place. I post on X, I try to post on X 3-4 times a day. When you're pushing out this much content about a sport, especially about something that you're not fully knowledgeable about, because I'm very transparent. I try to be very transparent that I'm a newer fan. Now, is my lacrosse knowledge 100 million times better than it was in February? 100%. Is it at the level of somebody who's been in this sport for fucking 10 years? Absolutely not. And I don't pretend to be that, nor am I trying to be. So if I've come off like that, I apologize. Because I always try to say a lot of times that I'm a newer fan to this, because I don't want to come off as I'm this genius fan that's been around forever, because I'm not. I'm not that. I'm a newer fan that is coming in and giving my takes on this stuff because nobody else was. And I'm passionate about the sports I love. I love this sport. This is my favorite sport now. And that's coming from my diehard hockey, right? I'm a diehard hockey fan, and I would prefer to watch lacrosse over hockey now, right? So that's why I have this different perspective, this unique perspective. But all I have is my takes. I'm gonna say controversial shit. I'm gonna say shit you don't like, and that's fine. And I'm fine with having debates. And I'm fine with disagreeing with people on certain things. I know I'm not going to agree with everybody on everything, and I'm pretty open to having my mind changed. But I don't have the connections. I don't have the connections. I don't have the contacts to reach up and call somebody that's a pro and say, hey, come be on my show, right? I just reach out to people and hope for the best, to be honest with you. And if you're nice and you ask politely, usually it works pretty good. And if I'm trying to be authentic, I try to be a genuinely nice person and try not to say anything bad about people. So with all that being said, I'm doing my best. And, I hope you like my content. If you don't, you don't, right? Scroll on. Or you know what? Even better, just trash me. I don't care. I don't take it personally at all. And I love all my haters as much as I do my fans. So, but no worries at all. Just wanted to kind of touch base on the NLL PLL thing. Because I really didn't realize that was a controversial take, to be honest with you. So when I threw that out there and then people started getting mad about it, I was like, oh shit, this is a controversial take. Okay. Field guys, I will say, hey, there's some field fans that really like it. And I get the point of the people that like both. And they're like, instead of fighting, we need to work together. I completely understand that. I do agree with that. And I think the PLL and NLL are starting to work together more. We'll see what happens with that, right? But at the end of the day, if I can get some PLL fans that don't watch NLL, because I know there is PLL fans that don't know about the NLL, which is crazy when you think about it, when a lot of their players play here. So that's my point to that, right? So even if I can get a PLL fan to be all pissed off and get on there and be like, oh, PLL is better than the NLL. Perfect. That's what I'm going for, guys. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to ruffle feathers. I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to get attention, clout, whatever you want to call it. I'm not really clout chasing because I don't get starstruck. I don't really give a fuck about that. But I am trying to get engagement, attention, all that kind of stuff. I'm trying to get my stuff seen. So, hey, if I have to fucking say some controversial shit and I have to say, stuff that I believe in and that's true, I will say that even if somebody else doesn't like it. So that's the way I look at that. And that's really it, guys. This is all fun and games. I'm just a guy with a mic behind a computer. I'm one single guy with no lacrosse experience and just a fan of the game. So keep that in mind when you're, taking my takes to heart and stuff, right? And I'm pretty easily I'm not easily persuadable, but if you bring me facts to show me why you think something is something, then is some way, then I'm gonna keep an open mind to that. And if you're not doing that, then there's always someone that's more knowledgeable about a topic. Even if you're the most knowledgeable in one topic, somebody's more knowledgeable in another topic. So with all that being said, guys, that's the episode. Again, I want to say thank you to Charlie for being on. Really appreciate the interview. I went super deep into those team deep dives, these game deep dives. If that was too much, you guys let me know. I just kind of start yakking and it kind of comes out. So again, I love this sport. I could sit here for another fucking hour and talk. So, so I'll be going live. Follow the socials. I don't really like promoting stuff on here, guys. I really don't. I'm not good at it. This is maybe something I need to get better at. But follow my socials. Go check out the merch store, all that kind of stuff. I still haven't got a sale there, but that's okay. It's up there. It's waiting, and I just wanted to have it ready. I'll be buying actually, I shouldn't say I don't have a sale. I'll buy my own shit. What is it? Support myself. I'll support myself. So, but I love this design. Honestly, all kidding aside, I love this design, and I just think it's really cool shit. And it's quality shit it's quality stuff for a good price. With that being said, guys, I hope you guys have a good night. As always, my name is Jacob McDonald. I am Anything Lacrosse, and this is the game that never sits still. We'll see you after a fun-filled weekend and a busy weekend in the lacrosse world with 7 games. Let's go, guys.